What's up, guys? Welcome to the Bomb Squad. We're here. It's September 1st. And because it's September is Latino Heritage Month, as everyone knows, or at least it is right now. Who knows what Trump's going to make it by the end of this month. But anyway, because of Latino Heritage Month, we brought my favorite Latino, Pablo
Me.
Medina.
No.
Josh.
And
Pablo.
and so we're talking about another. Last time we did Blood In, Blood Out. Remember that, Pablo?
Yeah, which has been doing it's been getting more popular on YouTube.
It's
like
also
becoming a
like,
cult
yeah,
classic.
it's always a cult classic, but it's also one of our most popular reviews. People are always watching that one.
I know. Good thing I had a good
It's a
mic
good
on
movie.
that.
I
I
know.
had a
Good
good
thing
mic on
there's
that.
not.
Yeah. We could totally understand everything you were saying.
Good thing there's not children in the background yelling at
Uh,
the top of their lungs
it's
from that
reality.
episode.
It's
If you've seen
reality.
any of my movies, which according to Tubi stats you haven't, you know that Pablo is in two of my movies. Oh no, he's in all three. You're in
The
last ones as a zombie. He's not the
Oh yeah,
king
you're
zombie
the
though.
you're the king zombie.
No,
That's
that's
right.
someone else.
He's the
But see,
big
when I
Um,
explain
zombie.
this to
he's
people, I always tell people that I'm in a couple of movies, and that my first movie was just as a zombie, and then I started appearing more and more. That's how I explain this to people. That
yeah.
my first movie was just kind of it wasn't even a cameo, it was just an appearance. But it gave me the
Yeah.
experience, and then now we're full on
Right.
productions and doing these things, but I just need my own biography now.
And you still refuse to learn any of your lines. He was also in he was the Scarface in Borderland, if you remember that film.
Hey,
And
did you know
then
that?
I haven't said what film we're doing yet, but we're doing Scarface. And then
Oh,
in Empty Space, he was the guy who couldn't leave his house because he was a wimp.
Oh yeah,
That's right.
you had
He
like
had he had a whole
agoraphobia.
yeah, he had a whole range. But go check out those movies. They're on Tubi and Screenbox, as you'll find out in this commercial as we come back with our Latino film. Thank you so much for joining us on the Bomb Squad. Please give a like and subscribe if you haven't already. If you want to support our channel, other than that, the best way to do it right now is to watch our movies. We have the boxing documentary Humble Spirits. We have the Mexploitation thriller Borderland about missing cartel money. Those movies are both on Tubi. Also on Tubi and Screenbox, you can watch the zombie drama, The Last Ones, and of course, The Empty Space, a cosmic horror about grief and loneliness. We hope you enjoy those movies. Tell us what you think if you do watch them. And of course, you can always follow my other YouTube page, which is my shorts page, to see some short films, or just join us here. Thank you so much again, and please keep supporting the channel. So today, for Latino Heritage Month, as you know, we love Latinos here. Two of the three of us happen to be that. We brought Pablo Medina, rapper, actor, artist. Pablo Medina's joining us to talk about 1983's American classic cinemas,
I wasn't even
Scarface.
born.
None of us were born at that time. Directed
Josh looked like
by,
he was
it is a
born.
remake of the 50s
I think we're all the same
Scarface,
age.
directed by Howard Hawks and written. It was written by Oliver Stone, knee deep in his cocaine. And it was directed by Brian De Palma. It stars Al Pacino, our favorite Latino, Michelle Pfeiffer, Stephen Bauer, Mary Elizabeth Manstrantano, Robert Loggia, another amazing Latino actor, and F. Murray Abraham. More Latinos in this. This movie's cool because there's not one actual Latino in it, as we find out. So, Josh, why don't you break down what this movie's about before we start talking about it, so we can get
Well,
straight into the
well,
Scarface.
a man, a refugee arrives from Cuba, Antonio Montano, in Miami,
Yeah,
as part of Castro sending all the riffraff from Cuba over to the United States. And he's like, you know what? I wanna own the world. I wanna become the greatest criminal Miami's ever seen. And he eventually does.
yeah, that was great. Josh said a lot without saying anything whatsoever about the plot.
Okay.
You know what's more Latino than anything? Having a cheap fucking computer.
Yeah, I was
That's
giving us the immigrant experience by not having a computer that works. So yes, that's what this movie's about. So originally it was Al Pacino who wanted to make a remake of this film, and then he wasn't sure about it because he didn't want to do old 50s film. So then once Oliver Stone and Brian De Palma came out, they kind of made this idea of making it more contemporary for the time. So that's why it's about Cubans in Miami. And it also it starts off and it's like it's a very I mean Oliver Stone's like a weird libertarian, so you have a little bit of mix of sympathy towards the communists, but also not that much sympathy. But it starts off and it's like, oh yeah, America said that they would take Cuban refugees, so Castro like loaded up the boats with criminals and sent them over, and that's who Tony Montana is supposed to be part of. But then at the very bottom it says 25,000 of the 125,000 were criminals, and I'm like, that's not that many criminals. That's only like
that's 1/5. Yeah,
yeah,
this
that's a
is
very small amount of
that's
criminals.
pretty good odds. Yeah, because they're interrogating him at first. He's obviously a criminal, but he's lying about it.
Yeah.
They ask if he's a homosexual, if he likes men, which
How he
is
got that scar eating pineapple.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
ask him how he got that scar, and luckily they don't care about us cursing anymore. So they ask him if he got it from eating pussy, and he's like, "How I get a scar like this eating pussy, man?" Or if you watch it on TBS, this is also one of those movies where it got edited pretty hilariously on TBS. Because you watch it on TBS, they go, "How'd you get that scar, Tony, eating pineapple?" And he's like, "How I get this scar eating pineapple?"
To be fair, they have the sharp edges, so that's
true.
a legitimate.
Isn't that one of the movies that says "fuck" the word "fuck" more than anything back in the day?
Yeah, it was one of those movies where it had like the record for the most
Right.
curse words until Casino. I think I think Deadpool eventually beat out Casino, but Casino had quite a lot.
That's a bleak
But
statistic.
I mean, there's like a scene later. There's a scene later where he's talking to F. Murray Abraham, and he's like, "Hey, fuck you, no, fuck you." Like that's the whole line of dialogue for that little.
But I do like because this movie's very, it just it's very upfront about itself. Like right when because they don't like send him back. They're like he could stay, but they kick him out of the room, and then the cop who's like interviewing him says, "That son of a bitch Castro shitting all over us. Send this asshole to Freedom Town." And it's just this like squalor of Cuban refugees like beneath the bridge, and it's like. It's really showing you what the movie's about right away.
The options weren't to send him back. The options were either to like let him actually live in Miami or to send him
to like the little like the camp.
Yeah,
called Freedom Town, which super relevant.
That's what happened. Fucking Scarface. They're gonna leave him here. Well, they wanted to leave him. They were keeping him in that prison. Remember?
Yeah, and the refugee
goes to that prison. Yes.
He goes with Malo, his best friend.
And then he kills them to move up.
No, they killed the Cuban guy.
The other
guy. They killed some Cuban guy who's I don't know. I feel like he wasn't doing anything bad. The guy.
No, he was a communist, and so they said, if you kill this communist guy, you'll be able to get your freedom from Freedom Town. Hilarious enough. So then they kill him, and also they're like, oh yeah, just kill him. And Tony Montana decides to kill him in the most elaborate way possible. But like there's a riot and then they're following him, like calling his name, and they all have knives, so he's trying to get out of the building.
I know, I don't like that
And then he gets to the door and then they stab him. Hell no, that seems awesome.
It's like, why wouldn't you just stab him at his bed?
Yeah.
But I feel like so easy.
I feel like as we watch it, that's kind of Tony Montana's biggest issue is that he's way too dramatic and over the top, which ends up biting him in the butt later.
Kind of
but
this is
the beginnings of that nonsense. Also, like it's funny because they know that they have to play the game. Like there's this scene where he's talking to Malo and he's like, "Oh yeah, you have to tell him." Like he gives a whole speech about how he's like, "Listen, man, I don't want to be communist. I never wanted to be communist. I wanted to be in America and be free." And then, like, as soon as they kick him back to Freedom Town, he's like, okay, I don't care anymore. Like, he never really cares about political leanings, much like our other Latinos.
That's always been my question. Was he a criminal before?
I think he was a criminal before because the mom, remember, she's like, all the bad things you do, Tony.
Yeah, exactly.
But
Like he was a bad guy all the time.
yeah, but he wasn't a bad guy because of communism. He was a bad guy because he was always gonna be a bad guy regardless.
He was just a bad boy.
Actually, like, because when he's there, they're talking to him. They're like, "Oh, what about your family? Like, are they around?" He's like, "No, my dad's dead. He died sometime somewhere." Like, he's super vague about it. And then he's like, "Oh,
Yeah.
my mom's dead too." And then it's like, "Oh, she's alive." He just didn't want to like give them anything about
Yeah.
himself.
And I think that that's also pretty telling. Like Tony Montana as a character, he knows what he needs to say, but the problem is that he says way too much. Like if he had played the part of like a political prisoner, he probably would have gotten further. But he has to like be cocky and arrogant about everything, so it doesn't work.
his own
So was
hubris.
he trying to be a drug dealer, or was he made a drug dealer by his society?
I think he was. I think we'll see, and that's an interesting case. I think that Oliver Stone is trying to say that he was always going to be this kind of drug dealer because there is like so once he gets out of, and that's a pretty good segue. Once he gets out of Freedom Town, they set him up with like a normal job. He's like cooking burgers.
Oh, like a
in
a
like
little
a tiny,
but like a cafe.
in a tiny cafe that me and Pablo are going to buy and
I also
run.
love because it's this super shitty little cafe beneath this like billboard of the Miami skyline that's like "Welcome to America," you know, and it's like
Yeah.
the super hard contrast. This movie like looks really good. It's been like a while since I've seen a movie from before the 2000s. I was like, oh yeah, I forgot movies used to like look this good all the time.
I know. There's
I
a
think
scene
they're
where he's
just
on the phone and it's
remastered,
like beautiful.
Josh.
No, like the film looks good. Like the
Like
shots look good.
If it was made properly.
If you watch a Netflix movie, it looks like an episode of The Office. You're like, yeah,
Exactly.
it's like two people in a room. Yeah,
There's like no sceneries, no nothing in the background.
Yeah, they're clearly filming on a set. This movie's clearly filmed in Miami. It's also cool because you get to see a lot of Miami. But then he meets F. Murray Abraham, who is who's already working, and he's like, "Hey, I can," because that's the guy who hired him to kill the communists. And he's like, "Okay." And Tony Montana's like, "I thought we were gonna get more work from you," but then his attitude gets him so mad. But eventually, F. Murray Abraham gives him a job. And here's another question: so he gives him a job to go get some money from some. It's supposed to be a drug deal.
That's
So
how it
Tony
all
goes
starts,
with a
man.
couple
It's
of his
a fucking
friends.
trick.
And you forgot.
See, and that's what I was
Murray
gonna
Abraham
ask.
has the coolest like cocaine device, like the little like silver capsule he like takes a. Everyone's doing coke in every scene in this movie,
Yeah.
and it's usually from a cool device of some kinds.
Yeah, and he's also dancing. That's like my favorite part because when they see F. Murray Abraham for the first time, they like go to the car and he's like this, he's just like dancing. And it's like, what are you doing? Like, why are you trying to impress these two guys? We're trying to impress Tony Montana. So they give him a job to go get some drugs.
That's what they're trying to portray. That he's.
Oh, that is true.
Yeah.
Yeah. When you're high off coke, do you just dance crazily?
Yeah, you get all this energy that you don't know what to do with it, so you just dance.
And he plays Omar, and Omar gives him a job to do another drug deal. And so he's like, okay, I'm gonna do this drug deal. So he takes two of his friends, and they're gonna go, and they're waiting in the car. And then the drug dealers immediately like pull a gun on them. There's also like a little lady hiding in the bed, and she just
she has under the pillow a shotgun.
Yeah. This is the hotel
I do
thing,
like
right?
that.
Yeah.
And also he's like, because his friend Manny is supposed to be his backup. He's like, wait in the car, and if you see anything bad happen, come up. And there's literally guys with guns approaching the hotel room, and his friend's just hitting on a woman, completely oblivious. It's like you blew the one thing you're supposed to do.
He's hitting on a blonde in a bikini, so we cannot blame him.
That's true.
I mean, I think it's trying to show how they're not expecting for things to be that bad, and then it just really takes you to show you how bad things really are.
I think it's showing that Manny is kind of a moron when it comes to helping things.
Cool fact about that, that's when Tony Montana invented the word yayo. He didn't invent it, but he used it for that movie. They weren't supposed to use it, and he started using that movie yayo. And that's when he gets it.
Now everyone
uses
like, hey,
Tony, or he calls something, get the yayo. And that's when it was used because of Al Pacino. He brought that word in, and it was super cool. I mean,
and is your favorite term for coke
exactly
yayo, or is it coke, or is it snow powder?
It's like slang. I mean, I think yayo
or white girl is the.
I think
the
yayo rolls
one,
off faster,
Yeah, yayo sounds good because it's like, what does that even mean? I
Oh, it's
remember
like
one time I
that's
was
what I'm
hanging out
telling
with,
you. It's easier when he tells them, "Yo, get the yayo." He's not gonna say, "Yo,
yeah.
get the white powder."
Because see, I remember one time I was hanging out with some of mine and Pablo's friends, and they're like, "Hey, man, you got any of that snow?" And the guy was like, "Yeah, I got some snow." And then he looked at me, he's like, "So no one knows what we're talking about." And I was like, "We live in El Paso, bro. They don't think you're talking about snow. What else could you be talking about?" There's only so many. There's only so many things that could be. But yeah. But
I
so
think yayo the
then they
best one.
like put they put yeah, yayo is my favorite because it also sounds like yayo. What's that? Is that a cool
Yeah,
ride? And it kind of is.
the
And
yayo.
so they hang him up in the bathtub and they're like, "We're gonna chainsaw you to death." It's also like, "Hey guys, you don't have to do this. You could just shoot them. Like, there's nobody. You
Yeah,
do not have to chainsaw them
that
in the
is funny
bathtub."
because first they chain up his friend and they're like, "Oh, I'm gonna get his arm. Now I'm gonna get his leg." It's like he is definitely already dead. You don't
Yeah,
need to do the leg. It's like he's already
you figured
gone,
it out,
dude.
guys. He's not alive anymore.
Because of that scene,
Just
they're also gonna get a X-rated movie.
Yeah, I think they
yeah, it
had
was
to cut it
super.
down
Also
Yeah,
because
unnecessary.
they do show like that's a cool scene where the guy's like there and you see the chainsaw and he's like when it hits him in the head. But anyway, so then Manny finally comes. Manny is
finally
incompetent.
realized, and they have a fourth friend who kind of looks like he's dressed like Bruno Mars. He's like a little short guy with
Yeah,
Yeah,
a
he really
fedora,
is.
and he doesn't really have lines, but he's just kind of around.
he there. I know. Well, like every mob movie, it's so funny because every mob movie always has a couple of guys who don't really have a lot of lines, but they're like in every other scene. You know?
Yeah, he's
Well,
just
isn't that how
and
real
he's
drug
gone
deals?
like for the hour after this, and then he's just in
Yeah,
like another scene later. It's like, oh, I guess he
Hey
was
guys,
still there. He's just their
yeah,
that's how
friend.
real drug deals go, man. You got one guy really doing the talk, and the other ones are just there to enforce.
yeah. You have two tough. You have the main guy. You have his friend, and then you have a bunch of hanger-ons.
That's how it really is.
That's the goal. So then Tony gets the drugs and he kills them, and then like he calls the guys and they're like, "What the hell? He's still alive?" And so he goes to meet him, and so he brings it. And this is very smart of Tony. That's why I'm saying, one of the cool. Look, I have a Tony Montana on my shirt. This is one of the cool things about Tony Montana is that he is smart because what he does is he brings both the coke and the money to Frank, who's played by Robert Loggia. Frank Lopez. You know Frank, the very Latino name, Frank. It's played by Robert Loggia. And he's like, "Okay, I brought you the coke and the money. I want a job." And Frank's like super impressed. But F.
But
Murray
before
Abraham,
this, F. Murray Abraham
Omar,
is like, "Oh no, bring it right to me. I'll bring it to Frank." He's like, "No,
yeah,
no, we'll go together. You're like clearly trying to cut me out of this."
yeah.
It's
Well,
like
he was supposed to kill him. Is the thing? Is that they were
right.
like gonna kill him and then just be like, "Oh, it was a rob deal." So then they go there, and Frank's like falls in love with him right away. I feel like, what do you think of Frank's character? I feel like he's a little bit too trusting. But I also like that every time he comes out, he's always talking like, like every line of dialogue he says starts with,
I think he's like, because they decide to go to the club to like party, and he's like he thinks he's like, oh, I'm like so much smarter because Effery Abraham's like he's a fucking peasant. Like he like
yeah,
hates him, and then Frank's like, nah, that peasant, like if you give him a little bit he'll love you forever. And it's like, Frank, he's clearly dancing with your wife. He's already planning on
This guy
screwing
took his
you
wife,
over.
man. This guy took his wife.
like
yeah.
it's
Well, and
so obvious.
yeah,
But
because,
Frank just
well,
thinks he's in control,
and you know what? This is the first time I noticed. Well, we'll talk about it a little bit later. But his wife, who's played by Michelle Pfeiffer, I forgot to say that Michelle Pfeiffer's in this movie, and she looks as hot as anyone has ever looked, especially a coke queen. Don't we all want our own coke queen?
I feel like it doesn't work out for them
Yeah.
relationship
Well, yeah.
wise.
I mean,
So
a lot of relationships don't work out, Josh. That's no reason to not get into
I
one.
guess I guess the coke isn't the
And
reason it doesn't work out.
it.
It's more she hates him.
I mean,
But
what an entrance because they're in his house and they're all talking, and she gets in a glass elevator and comes down facing the other direction, so you just see like her figure. And Tony Montana is not hiding that he's like in love with her the minute he sees her. Another Latino trope. Falling in love the second you see a
With the
girl.
boss.
Yeah, falling in love with a girl that's not single and that you have no business involving yourself with. Latino stereotypes that are true. So then they go out to a club, and this is like my favorite part where they're dancing, and he's all hitting on her, and she's like, "Listen, Tony, I don't fuck with people who get off a banana boat." And what? And then he goes, "A banana boat? I don't get off no fucking banana boat," which is like, I don't know, just the way the dialogue works in this movie. I feel like Oliver Stone was on cocaine every time he wrote the dialogue.
It's crazy that he
Yeah.
said that he quit after, which I don't believe.
I know. If anything, every time I watch, never mind.
I saw
Never mind. I'm not gonna finish
JFK.
that line. I thought
He was definitely doing coke when he wrote JFK. Like 10
I've
years
seen
later,
I've seen
so-
Oliver Stone talk about being a libertarian. There's no way he's not doing coke. And so then after so Tony Montana pretty much establishes himself with Frank's crew. He's part of it. He's getting bigger, and so now he goes to visit his
They
actual
kinda
mom.
It's like 3 months later, and
Yeah.
he's come up. He has this baller Cadillac with like leopard print interior for like the.
Well, he goes to
seats.
buy it with LV, yeah.
Yeah, and it's pretty cool.
And then he like kisses her, and she like pushes him off. But then he puts on her hat, which was unscripted. Did you know that? When he puts on
know
her
that.
hat and she like laughs at him. Yeah,
Yeah.
she just did that to make her laugh, and they kept it in the movie.
They have a scene, and this is funny because it's like this weirdly comes up a lot in like crime movies and like this in The Sopranos too, where he's debating whether or not you should be eating pussy with his friend Manny. Manny says you have to let them know right away.
Yeah,
You're down, and he's like, "Don't do that. They're going to be freaked out by it."
Yeah, that is not a Latino trope.
Don't do the tongue motions in her face.
And he says, "It looked like a little lizard, man." And that's where he also says his favorite: first you get the money, then you get the power.
And then you get
Which is another like. Did you ever hear? The Lox has that song that's like, "It's the key to life. First you get the power." Have you
You
heard
keep
that
saying
song?
that it's all the Latino thing, but it seems like black people picked it up more. No, it became like a staple. I was seeing the 10 facts about the movie, and it said how they use it in so much hip hop culture. So,
Well, yeah, I think gangster movies in general got kind of picked up for hip hop culture. I think that Scarface gets picked up more because it's like the most flashy. Like, it'd be funny if like
it's a come up story.
Where Notorious B.I.G. he doesn't really want to be the Godfather because the Godfather is already established and is old. Where Tony Montana's young. He's got flashy suits.
It's kind of like he's
hooking up with the hottest chick in town. Yeah,
he's hot.
He's super hot.
Crazy.
He's super Latino and hot. Something Josh could never be.
No, Josh, get a scar or something.
Yeah, get a scar and be more Latino. Although if you vote for never mind. And so then they go visit the mom, and I like the mom because like the mom is dressed like every Latino mom ever, where she has like a long dress, but like a apron over it, And this is where you get a little sense of his life before, where she's like,
exactly. That's what I was gonna say.
It's kind of implied. Well, it's kind of implied that the mom took the sister and kind of ran away from Tony and the dad.
Yeah.
She said something about how that Tony was just as bad as the dad. So it's kind of implied that Tony was already starting that life, and so she ran away. Something that Pablo's mom wishes that she could do, but it's too late now to take your child.
This is locked
one
in.
of my least favorite scenes because he's villainized by the mom in such a way that
he comes. He's like
he didn't do anything. He literally just showed up to visit, and they're like,
he's like, "Hey, I have all this money for you. I definitely got it from working as like a political like consultant."
Well,
she's like, "You're dressed like a drug dealer.
Because that's
the most drug dealer suit of all time."
Like he comes in and he's like, "Hey, you don't ever have to go to work or school again. I'm gonna pay for everything. It's all my money."
I know that
and the mom.
This is how I know they didn't know no Latino moms. The real Latino mom would have accepted it.
I know. Not only would the Latino mom would have accepted it, she would have been making him food.
Exactly.
She would have been like putting it in her shirt right there. But that's okay. But and then the sister. See, the sister is way more Latino because the sister's like, I know you didn't do anything wrong, Tony. And Tony's
Yes.
like literally almost covered in blood. He's so
I know it
he's
is
such a
also.
drug dealer at
This
that
is like
point.
the one scene where like they kind of hint at why he was arrested in Cuba, because they're like, I know you did bad things in the army. It's like, oh, he clearly like was a Cuban soldier and just killed a bunch of people for
Yeah,
money or something. You know, like it's
yeah.
obviously like a crime thing, but it's
Well, and
kind of
that's
cool.
because that's a thing in a lot of these South American countries, even in
They have
Juarez,
like
Mexico,
mercenaries.
which we live next to. You can hire the police to do stuff. Or so I've heard. Um, so
So
I've
we've thought,
so I've
yeah.
heard, and I also agree with, and I don't have any problems with, and I think it's a
So I've
good
been
thing.
told.
That you can kind of bribe a lot of the officials to do stuff that you need to do, and I think that's
Did you say
great,
bribe
guys.
or ride?
Yeah. Well, you could do both if you really want to, but bribe is usually the more acceptable form. And so it is kind of implied that Tony is one of those guys who was willing to just kind of do anything for money. I mean, he still is. But I do also like how Tony kind of hides under this facade of like politics. Like he did it with the people at the beginning talking about Cuba, and now when she asked him like, "Where are you getting this money?" He says he's working as a political organizer against the communists, and it's like, buddy, I don't even think you know what the political climate in America is. Um, but so then he tells Gina, his sister, that he's gonna keep giving her money, and she takes it. And also then again, Latino stereotypes, because Manny sees Tony Montana's sister,
Oh,
and
I
he's
know.
like, "Oh,
Yeah.
I want to hook up with her immediately." Which again, it's just something we do. It's in our blood. It's in the sangra.
But it did strike me how personal he takes it, man. Like God, like he was so
Yeah,
offended by
it's
him.
definitely like a weird, like, because at first you're just like, oh, he's protected, but later they're like, oh,
It's
he's
like an
like
obsession.
psychosexual about his
Yeah.
sister.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
he's
never that threw me
But I
off.
think I think there's like that thinly veiled, like there is that toxic masculinity that Latino culture has sometimes, where like, oh, you better be nice to my sister, I'm gonna kill you, or like we do kind of have that behind us. I feel like that's Tony, but everything he does is taken to the
is to
extreme.
the extreme.
So instead
Yeah,
of just protecting his sister from like bad guys, he
Just
has
makes
to
it
like
worse.
almost want to kill them, yeah, every
Yeah.
single time. And especially because Manny is so. I mean, it's also like Manny. If you want to tell your best friend that you want to hook up with his sister, you probably shouldn't talk to him about how much you like to have conolingus with them. That
right.
was where you went wrong the first time. Um, and so then he gets mad, but then they go to Cuba and they play this song that's like
No, they go to Bolivia.
Bolivia, yes, and they play the songs like dun 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 dun. Dun. That's like my
That's
favorite
also been
song
in
in
a
the whole
couple
movie.
rap songs.
Yeah, I mean every piece of
Every
music
line.
in this movie has been
Yeah.
used in rap songs, but not by Big Dreams, not yet at least. And so they go to meet these
Maybe I have.
Cubans. Ooh, maybe there's something
Mm,
coming up. And the Cubans are like, oh yeah, or not Cubans, the Colombians. They're like, hey,
Bolivians.
we
Yeah.
want to work with you. Who is? Oh,
Oh,
Alejandro
it's
Sosa.
yeah. Sosa's the main guy, and then his second, his right hand man is Mark Margolis, who we all
Right,
know from Breaking Bad as the uncle who is
the
Also,
wheelchair
Chief
uncle.
Keef. His
Yeah.
name is Chief Sosa, by the way.
His name is Chief, and they are Bolivians because that's right. Because they say if we make a deal with you, what he wants to do is cut the Colombians out of it, and he wants to make a deal with Frank to start selling the drugs, and then they'll make more profit. But Tony's like immediately Tony's on board, but he's like, but you have to meet us halfway to at least to Panama, and then we'll make sure the rest of the way. So we'll be more partners. And then they get a phone call about F. Murray Abraham's Omar, and they're like, "Oh!" And I like that part because they tell him like, "Okay, go talk to Frank, come back." Because Omar's like, "Oh no, we can't make this deal. We're only allowed to buy this much." So he's like, "Well, go talk to Frank, come back, and then we'll make the deal." And the minute that F. Murray Abraham turns around, like his face drops, like he knows what's gonna happen, which we don't know yet because it's our first time watching. But then he's like, Tony, stay with me. And Tony's like, all right. It's also like Tony's like, yeah, sure, that sounds good.
This is where they bond over the super elaborate death that is like this is so
Yeah.
unnecessary.
Hell no, that's like the best part because he takes them to. Well, and that's the thing though. Pablo could probably help us out with this. Cartel deaths are very elaborate. That is not like a movie thing.
That's
As a
true.
matter of fact, they're more elaborate. Like there was that famous video where they
I
like
think because you're
slit a
trying to
guy's
scare.
throat and then they pull the tongue out of his throat and they like put it in there. Back when the internet was
You're trying to make
more
a point.
lawless, you could see that video everywhere. Yeah. So they're trying to make a point. So they
Yeah.
take F. Murray Abraham and they beat the hell out of him. Which is also like, if you're gonna kill me, don't beat me up. Like, just do it. And then they throw him out of the helicopter to hang him from the helicopter.
Yeah,
And
so his
Tony-
body's like
Yeah. And my
wheeling
favorite
around,
part
yeah.
is like he gives Tony binoculars to look, and when they're like about to throw him off, the criminal guy is like, look over there. And it's like, how do you know that they're looking at you right now? Like,
So who's in the helicopter
just
that he's
playing a lot of
hanging?
games.
Is it Frank?
it's no. It's F. Murray Abraham and his men. Or no, and
Oh yeah, it's his man.
and
His
Alejandro
assistant.
Sosa's men.
Yeah,
Yeah.
his
And so they
assistant.
throw him
Yeah,
out. The guy with the glasses.
Yeah, exactly.
The guy with the
I thought
glasses
he-
who ends up coming more. And so then he goes, this is where he says the famous line again. All of these scenes have at least one famous line, but that's where he goes, how do we know I can trust you, Frank? I mean, Tony. And Tony's like, all I have is my word and my balls, and I don't break them for nobody. Which is, I mean, it's kind of true, but it's also what gets him killed multiple times.
Right. It's kind of the
Yeah.
reason he dies.
It's kind
It's kind of reason that a lot of things bad happen in his life. And so he goes back to Frank, and okay, I'm just gonna say
But it's also the
So-
reason a lot of good things happen.
that is true too.
He just has to know when to call
When
it
to call.
quits.
And so
Yeah.
the original plan was that they were gonna sell him 10K a key. He was going to get to buy it, but then Tony Montana's like, "Well, meet us halfway to Panama, and then you take some of the risk, and we'll take some of the risk." And Sosa's like, "Okay, I'll do that, but I want 13.5 a key." And then when he gets back to Frank's, he's like, "We figured out another plan for 10.7 a key." Now that's a pretty good deal if you ask me. He only went up 0.7 a key, and they got half of the risk taken apart. So again, Tony Montana. If you watch this
he is a good
to learn about
businessman.
business, yeah,
Yeah.
it's very good. Also, here's one thing that I
Yeah, cutting
that
off your partner.
I noticed.
is really good business. Let's cut Josh off this fucking podcast and just be successful. That's what
Yeah,
they end up doing.
I'll not get those $9 a year that we get in revenue.
I know. We're not gonna get that famous. We're not gonna have to split that famous $6. And one of the things that I noticed while watching it this time is that there's multiple points where someone's like, "Hey, Tony, here's some good advice," and Tony, if he doesn't ignore that advice, he almost goes completely against that advice because, like, the first thing Frank tells them is like, "Don't be flashy, like, be realistic, like, so that the cops don't like catch on to you." And like we've already said, he bought like a gold-plated Cadillac, and he's wearing like all
Right.
his suits are made of silk.
It
And
it
he
is
just
funny.
walks around, yeah.
It's funny for Frank to be like, "Don't be flashy," when Frank's like mansion looks like a mall. It's like so
That is
like
true.
white, you know.
Yeah.
It's like so ridiculous.
But Frank,
you know?
it's kind of implied.
he's
How old do you
white.
think Frank is? I was thinking about that too. Yeah,
Well, his name's Frank Lopez, so I don't know if he's supposed to be
Yeah, I don't
white
think he's
or he's
supposed
supposed
to
to be Mexican or Cuban.
he's supposed
I
to
guess
be
he doesn't-
half. I think they say at one
He
point.
doesn't draw as
Oh,
much attention.
yeah.
I think that's what he's trying to say about him. That Tony Montana
Yeah.
with a car and fancy stuff, it's just it causes attention. Frank, he looks rich. He could be a businessman, you know?
But
That's
also,
true.
Frank has been in it because Frank is like 50 years old, so he's been in it for a long time.
Exactly.
Which would explain why, like, he's able to. Because, like, you got a 25-year-old kid who's got like a huge mansion. That's pretty noticeable. Where it's like a 50-year-old guy who has a huge mansion. You're
Yeah,
like,
and
that makes sense.
that does also kind of like, because it's like Frank's probably seen a lot of guys that are kind of like Tony Montana, where he's like, "Oh, I like know how to handle this guy," like not
Yeah.
realizing like, "Oh, this guy's gonna like get me killed," you know.
Yeah, Frank is
Right,
more like
right.
experience.
Well, and it's yeah.
Like, he's been like
And
around
so
for a
then
long
Frank
time.
is, but Frank is pissed about the deal, and so eventually him and Tony part ways. So Tony does what any responsible friend and business partner does. He immediately goes to his wife and tries to hook up with her and tries to get her to go with him. But here's a funny thing about that is when she sees him, she's like, Frank's not here. And he goes, I'm not here to see Frank. I'm here to see you. And she says, that's not how it works, Tony. You have to make an appointment. In that scene, is it implied that um, Michelle Five Elvira is her name? Is she a escort?
No, it
This is
means
the first time I've thought about this because, like, what is the? I mean, it could just be a sarcastic thing. She's kind of sarcastic with him every time.
I think it
I
means
kind of assumed. Yeah. Oh, go ahead.
oh, I think it means that she's gonna go with the player, the main one. So it's like
That is
whoever's the
true.
top one, that's
Yeah.
who I'm gonna go with.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so
Yeah.
oh yeah, he does tell her, Tony tells her like, "Hey, I want to be with you if anything happens to Frank," which is like, again, that's because like they kind of try to present Michelle Pfeiffer as a little bit disconnected, but also like Tony Montana pretty clearly tells her that it might just be no more Frank in the future, and she doesn't like warn Frank or anything. Well, maybe she does because then immediately afterwards something happens. But anyway, so then they
Yeah.
go to a club. This club scene is so long. So many cool things happen in this club scene because he's with Manny, and then Frank, and then he sees Elvira.
Oh, and
Kind
then
of hits on her.
the cop like
The
strong
cop
arm.
comes.
The cop's like, "Hey, you need to start paying me once a month,
Yeah.
to like not notice you're obviously a drug dealer."
Yeah, the cop is also very. Who is the cop?
I don't know. He's not as much of a factor as you think because he is taken care of pretty quickly.
Yes, it's Harris Yulin is the actor's name. He dated Faye Dunaway. That's crazy. As Mel Bernstein. What a cop name. And he's like, "Yeah, Tony, you have to start paying me." So then Tony is like, "Oh, maybe I'll do that. I don't know." And then he goes to see Michelle Pfeiffer, and he's like hitting on her even more. And then Frank comes and he's like, "Tony, you better stop hitting on my girl." Or he tells her, "Go get your own girl, Tony." And then Tony goes, "I thought that's what I'm doing." That's like the coldest line ever to say.
So disrespectful, but
Yeah.
Frank kind of deserves it, frankly.
Yeah.
So
also, Josh, stop rocking because we can hear you
on
rocking.
my squeaky chair.
Yeah. So then he goes back and sits with Manny. Then he sees his sister who's at the club getting felt up by a guy. So then he like goes and beats up that guy in the bathroom. And also, like, I like that scene because he goes into the bathroom and just everyone is doing coke in the stalls.
That's pretty accurate.
And so he beats up the guy, and then Manny takes the sister home because she's all pissed. And so then he goes back and he sits down. He's super high, and like nobody wants to really like tell him to leave, but also he's very, very high. And then a guy is this a staple of 80s clubs? A guy with a big paper mache head?
Yeah, it's like a businessman mascot outfit, but it's just like a bald man. And I'm like, what is this? He's like dancing around the club.
It was like, I mean, nowadays it's those big robots, right?
That is true. That is a good
metaphor. I guess it's like,
but
why
see,
not like
he's
a
on
character?
the stage just by himself. Like, what is he doing?
Yeah, why
It's
is he just
creepy,
a
honestly.
man? A nondescript, like, bald businessman, like, outfit. Yeah.
He kind of looks like the guy. I always thought that he looked like the guy from Popeye. Not Popeye, but his friend who eats all the hamburgers.
Oh,
Wimpy.
Wimpy, yeah.
Yeah, he looked. I thought he was supposed to be Wimpy, but anyway, he's dancing around, and the club is loving it. So if anyone was like, "Hey, why was this guy able to get a job in Miami at a club?" Just remember, everyone is on cocaine. So, like, if I was on cocaine, I'd be like, "That's the coolest thing I've ever seen in my whole entire life." And so then a bunch of guys just pop up and shoot at Tony. They try to kill him. Luckily, they're unsuccessful.
They do kill the mascot though.
They kill the mascot.
They gun down.
They kill
his paper
Wimpy.
mache man.
I know they just. What if they were just there to kill the mascot because they didn't understand what it was?
Just take this.
You're like, I don't like this show. Yeah. And so then, and then it cuts to Manny. I do like Manny and the sister kind of having a meet cute moment where he's like, you need to find a good guy. And she's like, you're a good guy, right? And Manny's like, maybe I am. And it's like, no, Manny, you're not. You're also a drug dealer.
It's crazy. I've always
What
thought
are
he
you
was a good
thinking?
guy. I thought he
He's
was a
good in
good guy.
relation to Tony because he's not like super hot headed.
Manny seems to
Balances
be
them
less. And see, I think it's a good interest between Manny and Tony because Tony, he wants everything. He wants it all. I mean,
Exactly.
his house, he literally has the world is yours in his house, you know? Where Manny, he just seems to have come from Cuba and how bad it was. And he just wants enough to live without like having to ever worry about anything
he
again.
just goes with the flow.
Yeah, he doesn't ever seem to like want to participate in the murders as much, which he will, but it's not like to the relish of Tony, where Tony's always seems a little bit happy when he kills someone. And so then they kind of like then that's a pause in that conversation. So then he goes to Tony, and they find out that he's been shot. So he goes and gets his revenge at Frank's club. And
Oh,
again,
yeah.
that's like the coolest back. Like imagine if that was your office and there was just like a background of Miami
With
and
the
there was a
secret
huge
door?
glass table. Yeah, with a secret door and everyone just does cocaine. That's the job I'm trying to get.
Actually, I like this scene because it's like they're in this back room and then they just have like silenced pistols. They're like, "Oh no, we're going to kill you! Like, don't worry about it." 'Cause
Yeah.
the cop is there too, like kind
And
of
then-
like watching the whole thing.
The cop is just there like this, like in a very cop. He's like,
Yeah, because then they kill Frank. Frank like begs for Frank is like becomes the world's biggest bitch here because he's like, hey, just like you can sleep with my girlfriend. I don't even care. Just, like it's fine.
he's like,
Just
don't do it, Tony. That's my favorite part. He's like, don't do it, Tony.
It is a
I'll
weird
give you a
scene
Vira.
because you also see his bodyguard who betrays him, but is now
oh
super
Ernie,
faithful.
yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
Well, see,
Yeah.
but it's also the thing where, I mean, these guys have both worked with Tony, and you would assume that they've probably worked with Tony more than they've worked with Frank. Like, maybe Frank hired them, but since Tony was the guy on the ground, they're probably more familiar with Tony at this point. And also, it's kind of implied that they didn't really agree with the fact that they wanted to kill, because the only reason that Frank wants to kill Tony is because of Elvira. You know, like
it's not like
he
it's not like a
doesn't- yeah.
business thing. Yeah,
it's not a
literally
business
just...
thing, so it's a dumb move. And so, and then it's like another classic scene where he's like, "Please don't kill me, Tony. Please don't kill me, Tony."
yeah, like
That's how he
on his
talks.
hands and knees. It's like,
Yeah.
ugh, come on.
He's like,
man.
I'm not gonna kill you." And then
But he's
Manny,
so tough. I
and
mean,
Manny
he's kind of
shoots
the
that
coolest.
piece
He's
of
kind of
shit.
the coolest bodyguard. He is kind of the coolest bodyguard.
I know,
he
and-
looks like-
And I think I really like this scene because it shows the world they live in. Because at one point Frank is like, "Hey, cop, help me out. This is what I pay you for." And he's like, "Sorry, sorry, Frank. Didn't work in your favor this time." Like, these people will only latch on to whoever has the most power, from Elvira
right.
to
Exactly.
the cops to the Bolivians. You know, it's
But-
just the world that they live
But
in.
I
That
do
is
like
what
because the
they're
cop is
showing.
just like, well, that's that, and then the cop's like, wait, you're gonna kill me too? I'm a cop. And Tony's like, yeah, you're not a cop. It just shoots
Yeah,
it.
he's not a real cop.
And that's when they're like, what about Ernie, his bodyguard? He's like, you want a job, Ernie? And Ernie just like shrugs. It's like,
It's kind
sure.
of showing.
And
that
again,
there's
it's
no-
just kind of like,
there's no real relationship.
No
They're all
loyalty.
based on interest.
and on money, yeah.
I do like that because as soon as they're like,
And-
hey, Ernie, call us tomorrow for a job, and they leave, he gets an entire like thing of whiskey and just
The
starts
Jack
drinking it.
Yeah.
Just so like,
Hell yeah,
relieved.
so would I. But also,
That
is
is
this the
that is a
first?
good scene,
Pablo,
though.
you'll probably know a little bit
It sh-
more because he calls. Yeah,
It shows
he
how
calls
he,
Mel a
how
hussy.
he
You know what a
started
hussy
scared.
is? Yeah. What's do people still use hassa as pig?
Hassa?
They use what?
Yeah, because he tells her, you know what a hussa is? A pig who don't fly right.
I
Hassa.
don't know what the fuck that is.
Or
I
what
don't
does he
know.
call him?
It gets not. They must not
Apparently,
use it anymore.
yeah. Oh, a chazza. A chazzer. You know what chazzer is? It's just you can't understand it through Al Pacino's thick Cuban accent, where he's
I don't know
from.
what a chazzer is.
Apparently, it's a Yiddish word for pig. It's like, okay, guys, you didn't even try to find a
Yiddish?
Cuban word
That
for.
is crazy. Yiddish.
Yeah, what Yiddish is
So
Jewish. which kind of shows that this
Exactly.
movie wasn't written by Latinos.
There you go. That's what I'm trying to
But
tell
yeah, so
you, man. This is a fake portrayal of
he kills the
Latinos.
cop, and then it cuts to a montage, and this is like
Oh,
the
this
cool
is I
part.
forgot because this is set to "Take It to the Limit." That
Yeah,
song,
push it to
"Take
the
It to
limit.
the Limit,"
No,
or
it's
yeah, "Push It to the Limit."
push it to the
Um,
limit. But I like how like everyone's having a good time, and by everyone I just mean Tony and the Bolivian drug
yeah,
dealer,
just
and
counting
everyone
the
else.
money and like laughing, you know.
Yeah, but everyone else is having the worst time of their lives. Like Elvira is just depressed all the
See,
time.
because it cuts from their like big, like giant wedding where he like has the tiger and everything, and then like the
Yeah,
next scene with her is her like doing coke in a dark room, like
yeah, just
miserable.
constantly doing. Well, because I mean, she has no agency, which is her
Yeah.
downfall. Is that she just has to be with whatever guy is in charge. And like Pablo, tell us what's that's like.
Being with the guy in charge is very sad, and you're only in rooms doing coke by yourself. Obviously,
Yeah,
I mean
thank
that's
you.
what it's trying to
That was
show
from
you. I
personal
think
experience.
no, it's trying to
What
show
an
you that
insight.
she's obviously not happy with the lifestyle. She's just there because she has to be.
Yeah.
What else is she gonna do? You know, like
Well,
even when he
and
tells
I
her to
think
stop
like,
doing coke, it's weird because he sells a shitload of coke, and then he's like, "Why are you doing so much coke? The fuck?"
and also he does a shitload of coke.
Exactly.
You also, she, I think she tells it because it's kind of like you don't like know like a lot about her, but she's like, oh, I'm just some like white girl from like Baltimore, Maryland. So you kind of get the sense her life was pretty bad before she
Yeah.
came to Miami
They
anyway.
are trying to
So
show
No,
her that
no,
she's traumatized. Obviously, that she hates the
yeah.
fucking life.
Nobody
yeah,
who comes from Baltimore has a good life. Um,
yeah.
Or
but it's
Portland.
also that thing, yeah. I do like Michelle Pfeiffer. I think that's why Michelle Pfeiffer is still so like
Portland's fine.
she's talking.
You can have a good life in Portland, all right, Paula.
Well, or so we've heard.
Just not as a Latino man.
I
That's
think
the
Apparently,
problem.
Yeah, apparently Michelle Pfeiffer is like she's not in a lot of this movie, but she leaves such a lasting impact because of her performance. I think it kind of like ties again with Tony because
yeah. Well, he's
through
doing everything
Tony
for her.
he loves the life that he loves the drug dealer life, but she's showing like oh no it's getting worse because especially coming from Frank who was level headed. He was smart. He had and like Tony's smart, but he's not level headed at all. And so everything's moving at like double speed for
Look,
him.
let me talk with my fucking lag. I think it's really Oliver Stone really was trying to show you something. I mean, he's the writer, and you're thinking that he's trying to show you himself through Al Pacino, but I think he really showed himself through Michelle Pfeiffer in those bathroom scenes
Yeah.
doing the coke alone, bro. Because to me, that's like
Yeah.
the lowest point when she's doing that coke alone in her bathroom. I think honestly, that's like the lowest point when you're doing coke by yourself in a bathroom. That's your lowest point. Because Tony
Yeah.
Montana, I
Coke
mean,
is
he's like doing it in loads and selling it and all this. But her, she's just in a bathroom by herself, getting
Like
ready.
hidden away.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
that to me, that's the
being
saddest part of
depressed.
addiction. Like Oliver Stone was trying to
Yeah.
portray, I think.
Yeah, she's definitely giving us the more kind of
The
normal because
bad.
it's again where Tony can't even see the train wreck that's heading towards him. Where
Exactly.
Michelle Pfeiffer can see it.
He can
It
never
It's
kind,
getting
see it. He
yeah.
worse,
never sees it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's almost like it kind of reminds me of Sharon Stone in Casino, where it's like, yeah, what else are you gonna do except like do drugs and hate your
I
life?
I
Exactly.
would say that I think that Sharon Stone's character in Casino is based heavily. I mean, I know it was a real person, but she's clearly taken a lot of inspiration from Michelle Pfeiffer. I
From
feel
this.
like
Yeah,
Scorsese kind of wanted to have his own Michelle Pfeiffer. Um, but yeah, interesting. Oh, and then Tony, and it's also like Tony, why are you even doing this? Tony goes to get all his money exchanged in like he's getting his money laundered, and then it turns out it's an FBI sting operation. But it shows
actually,
Tony
I do like this because he makes them count every single bill twice because the
yeah,
count is slightly off, even though it's like
And they're sick of
tens
it.
of millions of dollars. Because he's
yeah.
such a control freak. He's like, no, for 30 short, we're doing it again.
And again, like Tony having to be front and center of everything is again what hurts him because if he shouldn't have been there, and now he got arrested for doing drugs, and also it's like there's no way he wasn't just talking about selling coke for 5 hours. He's just sitting
And,
there
and then the
bored.
little camera on the clock also, right?
Yeah. And it's like a
That's what
huge
got
hole
me.
in the clock. It's
Yeah,
like,
that's what
Tony,
got
pay
me.
attention.
I do like that too, because you could almost tell like the FBI is like, all right, let's go arrest him, and then like, oh wait, we have to wait another 5 hours for them to like do this all over again. You know,
Seriously,
just
they should have just
wasting
arrested
their
him
time.
first. But it's
They
also
should
like,
fucking
man, you can't
can.
really hide that you didn't know where the money was from when you had him counted twice. And so then Sosa's like, well, then they tell him like, you can do a deal, but you're gonna have to spend 3 years in prison. And again, Tony says like, oh, I'm never going back to prison. So it's like, I
I think
guess if
I
you
think he
kind of
was
pay
in
attention,
military prison in
yeah,
Cuba. Like he was a soldier. He went to prison. We don't know why, but he definitely was like
yeah,
for something bad. You know.
right.
I mean, also, if you've
And
been
so
to
he doesn't want to
prison,
go
even for a short time, you never want to go back to it. So you can.
exactly. Josh was like, "Oh, it was a nice military prison." It's like those are
Yeah,
worse.
it was a really cool one where
Those
they
are
were
Military
those
just
are
prisons
not
are
as
way
good.
better, Josh.
Yeah.
this is also very vague though, because Sosa's like, hey, I can get you out of prison with my government contacts if you do this job for me. I'm like, what government contacts are going to keep him out of this like FBI like state? You know, I feel like
Yeah.
he was going to screw him either way. This is my point.
I don't know. I mean, because he has to meet like a general and like 3 politicians, and they want him to kill some guy who's very
Oh, like a
critical
journalist
of
who's doing
Bolivia.
like a
Yeah.
UN expose.
The
Yeah.
Right.
bomb, right? Where they're trying
And
to
they're
set
gonna
up the bomb.
expose Sosa.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
So
where
they're
they
like,
bring Mark Margolis looking like Nosferatu shows up
Look,
to be like,
this is
we're
the
gonna.
scene also that really throws me off. The whole fucking time, Tony Montana has been the worst guy ever and has got ahead in life by doing the worst things in life. And then he has this opportunity. I know it's a family, but come on, bro. You already fucked everything up. Just do it.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, there's no way. I'm sure he maybe even if he hasn't like directly killed kids before, he's gotten kids killed before with his like drug
Exactly.
lord like life. You know.
Well, and I think it is also Tony being like kind of losing control because even before that, they have the good say goodbye to the bad guy scene where he like where
Oh yeah, that's where Michelle
Elvira
Pfeiffer
finally
kind of
leaves
leaves
him.
him because he's like, "Oh, your womb is polluted because you've done so much coke," and she's like, "Fuck you, you're gonna die."
Yeah, so she takes off. So he's already kind of losing it, and then they get in a car. They have a bomb on the journalist's car, and they're gonna blow it up.
but his
But Tony
family's with
realizes
him.
that their family's there, so he's like, "Okay,
Can I
I
just
can't do
say
it."
they made these kids too precocious because it literally cuts to them in the backseat playing patty cake.
I know.
It's like, come on, man, they're
It's
not
a
that
very
sweet and innocent.
that's a very Brian De Palma thing that their kids are like,
You know,
they're like,
They're like licking a lollipop and shit.
Yeah.
You know.
you know what made that scene more real to me, and which I think has made this movie so real. And again, we're going back to the Michelle Pfeiffer use of cocaine in the bathroom, which I do agree now that Oliver Stone was using drugs. You know when they're in the car and
Oh,
Tony
you
Montana
just
is doing
decided.
coke, and he's doing coke in the car before they're gonna blow up the bomb.
oh yes.
Yeah, that he's like
Yeah.
sniffs a paper
He's
and
do-
he's like,
He's
like
doing
that.
it out of like paper. Yeah, he has like a
Yeah.
paper sheet. He's like just pushing
That
it in his face.
that
Yeah.
is super real, man. Like he's about to kill somebody, he's losing it, like he's just doing coke like a crazy man. That's very real, and I think that's what made this movie so successful with the coke people.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing with cocaine, or so I've heard, is that it's so easy to hide and do anywhere. That's why, like, even in another gangster movie, Cruel Intentions, she like hides it in her crucifix.
Her little
Oh, her like
cross.
necklace.
You don't need that
thing.
much. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the next movie me and Pablo are gonna review.
It's not like marijuana where you need an elaborate smoking device.
Yeah.
To...
Marijuana is like the crafty version of drugs where it's like, oh, you gotta put it and crush it up and make a little thing. And Pablo doesn't know how to silence his phone.
Sorry.
Classic.
And Pablo's getting the phone calls from Sosa. And so then Sosa calls them and he's like, hey man, that was real bad to do. And also like, okay, you don't want to kill the kids. Just walk right past them and shoot them. He has no protection. He has like
yeah,
one
or just
bodyguard.
drive up next to it. Yeah, it's like there's so many, and yeah, because Tony's like, we'll just try again later. It's like, no, obviously they found the explosive. They're gonna like
And then
give
I
him
like
protection.
And then this is where Sosa goes, Listen to me, you little monkey. Because Tony Montana does kind of act like a monkey. He's very hyper and he's always jumping off of things and doesn't think before he leaps. And that's where Tony goes, "You want to go to war? I take you to war.
They get a warm, man.
And
I take you to war, man."
he hangs
I'm
up on
very-
him.
I
And then
always
one of
thought
his
that he
guys
should have
is
just
like-
blew up that car, man. Like, you really threw away this movie for that.
I know. I feel like there was a lot of ways for him to kill that guy. I feel like that's just Tony crashing out.
Just
You know,
like trying to be like, maybe I'm not such a bad guy.
See,
I'll
and
these
then-
kids.
But I'm gonna kill my
You know how, like-
sister's husband, even though I'm not a bad guy.
I know, especially like when you've done drugs, you're like, oh man, I'm a bad person. Maybe that's what Tony was having. Like, just
But
like
see,
he
that's
overcompensated.
That's kind of like the because that scene just before that where he's like crashing out in the restaurant, like yelling at everyone. It's kind of like he's not wrong anything he's saying. Where he's like, no, you're all like terrible, like pieces of shit, rich people too. But you need someone like me to be like, he's the bad guy. We're
Right.
all right
Well,
compared
and
to
that's
this
true.
guy.
Why
Because
does
if-
Frank look
if-
like he wants
if you-
to cry when he's like, "Man,
I know.
you are a good guy, Tony." Right? Like, right? Like, Frank looks
Exactly.
like, "Damn, Tony, you're going through it." I like Frank.
And-
Tony-
I mean, I like
Yeah.
Bernie. What's his bodyguard's name? What's his bodyguard's
Ernie.
name?
Ernie.
Ernie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's like,
Ernie.
He's
Oh.
sad because
So-
he's sad because his boss is sad. Ernie's really the best bodyguard out of everyone.
he is.
I mean,
except he betrayed.
he
his
doesn't
other
stop
one.
you from getting killed,
he's a friend. He's a
but
friend.
he's a
in
nice
need.
friend who talks to you.
Yeah.
Well, and I
you can
think,
lean
like,
on him.
even if we look at it in the real world, like no drug dealer is ever gonna be as bad as like say one Diddy or Jeffrey Epstein. You know, like
No way. He
There's
just brought
way
Jeffrey
worse
Epstein and
people-
Diddy into this.
yeah. Just saying that they're way worse. Like what the elites do is way worse than selling a little bit of coke. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, Sosa is Diddy.
What?
Sosa is Diddy, right? Like he's
Yeah,
at the
no,
top.
I would say,
Sosa-
yeah. No, I feel like they're in a different trade. They're
More
not
of
selling
a-
coke; they're selling something way worse.
More of a
Um,
sex trade, yeah.
And so then the mom is like, Tony, and again, this is also a Latino thing when your mom is super pissed at you, but then she needs you to do something, so she calls you and makes you do it, even though you're not supposed to be. Like we're supposed to be in a fight. Why am I having to wash the car? I thought you were mad at me. Now I got to do chores. What the fuck?
To be
And so
fair, she calls his house. He's not there, so Ernie picks up, but he's like, "Your mom called, and Gina's gone. She's missing."
Yeah. And then I do like how Tony's like arguing with her because she's like, you gave her all that money. That's why she has a big house. He's like, I didn't give her that much money.
Yeah, he's
I'm
like,
not going to pay for her life.
I gave her like a medium amount of money.
And so he goes to Manny. He finds out. He goes to the house, and who opens the door but Manny, his best friend. And then he
they're just
immediately
happy,
sees
man.
Gina.
They just got married.
Which also, like, Gina comes out and she's wearing just the robe and her breasts are almost out and she's like smiling at him. I'd be like, hey, sis, put some clothes on. What the fuck?
This is also
Yeah, who
like,
Why are you
opens the
coming
door
out
like
butt
that?
naked?
like not only okay, like let's keep in mind they're probably about to like be like, oh hey Tony, we got married, before he overreacts and shoots him, but even before that, they're like, hey, Manny just like took off in the middle of this super elaborate assassination. It's like, that's still bad. He's still like
You're
really
still-
bad at his job. Like there's still a really good reason for Tony to
You're
be mad.
still under review, yeah.
For him to not be like,
Yeah.
hey Tony.
And also, like, it's like both Manny and Gina know who Tony is. They probably should have prepared for this a little bit better than showing up at the door butt naked.
Yes, I mean, like, hey buddy. Yeah,
And so
I
Tony,
mean, I think they were all caught off
obviously,
guard how hard he reacted.
That
I
is
thought
true.
he was gonna get so pissed.
well, to be fair, they keep getting caught off guard by Tony's reactions, and it's like Tony reacts the same way to everything.
Again, why
This is kind
is
of on
he
you guys.
overreacting? Here's a fucking answer to your questions. Why is he overreacting? What's the number one problem Oliver Stone had?
He loves
He
his
wanted to
sister.
sleep with his sister.
Oh, what the
I
fuck?
assume.
Cocaine, man.
Oh, okay.
I do think
It could be both.
I do think it's implied a little bit that
Like
Tony,
this.
because of Tony's like want to have everything, he does have that thing where I don't know if he's in love with his sister, but I do know that he doesn't want any other man,
He wants to
to
like
have something
control
that
her
he
life.
doesn't,
Yeah.
including his sister. And so he has a little bit of that.
I think they should start
And
showing this
then,
movie in rehab centers. It's literally showing you what cocaine will do to
yeah,
you. The worst of
yeah,
the
I
worst.
think
this is the movie that they should show. Because like, if I was watching this movie high on cocaine, I would definitely be like, "Oh, this is
This is
bad."
the
I
best.
wouldn't be like, "This
Yeah,
is the coolest thing
I
I've ever
wouldn't be
seen."
like, this is
exactly.
I need to.
amazing. I do want to push it to the limit.
I do want
Exactly.
to do way more, way more of that. Yeah, yo. I guarantee you that if you show this movie in rehab, the only thing that would happen is that everyone would be calling it yayo by the end of the week.
I don't want to drive around in the coolest car ever with a
Like,
tiger.
they'll be like, "Hey, what? How was rehab?" It's like it got way worse. It got a little better. Then we watched a movie and it got way worse. And so he takes Gina back to his estate, and he starts doing a cocaine binge, which again, understandable. It's been a rough week.
I mean,
It's
he
been a
has a
rough
lot
couple
of
of
it.
days in his life.
With his, he's like a pile. It's like a mountain of
Oh yeah,
cocaine.
the best.
Yeah.
Which he got sick, no,
Oh,
for
and
inhaling so much baby powder or something. I heard.
yeah, because I think it was like it
Oh, Al
was yeah, it
Pacino,
was
yeah.
baby powder, and so he was really starting it, and it
See,
made him
let me talk
sick.
about this.
But also,
I didn't think that as an actor you had to inhale in these coke scenes, man.
Yeah, but
you
Pacino's a
yeah, you don't, but
he
Pacino was the
goes all
method.
in.
That's
Yeah, he was
crazy.
super. He would hang out like with cokeheads and stuff to get the feel. He went out with the Miami drug dealers, and eventually the cops are like, "Hey, you got to stop doing that because it's super dangerous."
That's what I would do.
But also, we forgot to mention that once he shoots Manny, Gina lets him know that they were married. But the way she does is with the greatest line read of all time, because she goes, "We were married yesterday." And he's all
Should have
Yeah,
just
mad.
called,
I
man.
like it.
They should have just fucking called.
I know,
And
like leave a. Well, also, why aren't you inviting me to your wedding? I'm your brother.
I also
Um,
do like they're like, hey, we got to get out of here, boss. Kidnap Gina too, just in case.
Yeah.
So they like drag her out of the house. It's like, man,
Yeah.
things are
Well,
not
yeah,
going
they're not gonna
well.
leave her there. She'd get arrested.
She would
Duh.
probably also tell them. That
Also,
Tony
I'm
did it.
pretty sure that Manny doesn't have like ID or social security, so they wouldn't even really know who he is or who his accomplice is.
I know, but she would probably be like, hey, the cops, my brother did it. I hate him.
Exactly. And so he takes her back. He starts doing a bunch of coke, and that's when they get attacked by the Bolivian.
That's when the assassins come in.
And also that's where Gina comes back, and she's like, "This is what you've always wanted, isn't it, Tony?" And she's all
Yeah,
naked.
this scene
She's
is
like
it's
shooting at him.
creepy.
Yeah, because she's like,
It
"This is
implies
what
that
you
she
always
knew
wanted."
that he had an obsession over her the whole time.
Yeah, which he did either way, but I think it was more to me. I've always read it more as he just didn't want any man to have what he didn't have. Like he had to have it all.
Sounds like
And
you.
it was like he doesn't really view people as people. Yeah, that's exactly like me. That's why I have all of this.
Can't have nothing.
And so
I do actually like because in this scene the assassins are like getting ready, but when she starts shooting, they think she's shooting at them, and one of them freaks out and like starts like going. And I was like, oh, that's kind of a clever way to like kick it off. That like how chaotic it gets.
Yeah,
because everyone's just shooting at everyone.
Well, and yeah, so then eventually Tony has succumbed, and we'll let you guys watch the movie to see how. But I think it's very
we're not
interesting
gonna
that the last
say
scene we
that.
see is his statue that says "The world is yours," and I think that's
Which
kind
is
of
obviously
the thing. Well, and that's what I was about to say. Like we see Tony's body, and it says "The world is yours," and I think that's the thing is that Tony's problem was that he was never satisfied. He always wanted way too much. He was always super greedy, and it gets him. I mean, it causes him problems throughout the whole movie, but it's eventually what takes him out. And I think that that's kind of what Oliver Stone is getting at. Like you can't. You have to eventually be happy with what you're doing.
you have to
It's
know
the
when
problem
enough
with,
is enough.
yeah, it's a problem with capitalism is that Elon Musk wants $10 billion, but it's like, what do you even do with that much money? You don't have anything to buy. Like you
Also,
can buy like a country at that point.
also that the world is yours for a minimal period of time while you're doing this, but when it ends, it's gonna end. You know, the world is no longer yours. That's also
Yeah,
what I think happened with
you
that. You know, because when you're on
you end
top,
up
the
in
world
a
was his. I mean, he was like on top of everything, but and it just ended in boom in a second.
What do you think? What do you think happens to the tiger after Tony dies? Do you think it goes to a good home?
Sosa
Okay,
gets it.
okay, Josh, I have a real answer for you. because this has been
Oh.
happening in Mexico lately. That
Oh
all the
yes,
drug dealers
Oh
in that
this
region.
happened.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it's a real thing, man.
And it goes to
But
like a
it's
Well,
kind of
no,
refugee.
there's
complicated.
also well, in Colombia, in actual Colombia, when Pablo Escobar, he had his huge compound, and on that compound he had a zoo, and he had a bunch of hippopotamuses.
Yeah,
And then once he got captured and everything and killed, those hippopotamus like escaped into the jungle. And now Colombia has a growing hippopotamus problem where the rivers have
Damn.
huge hippopotamus that'll just kill you if you
Right,
get
they're
too close.
super aggressive.
And so
Yeah,
that's what it would have happened is that like yeah,
the
there was
tiger
also
would just stalk the streets of
in
Miami.
yeah,
just
In
procreate.
Juarez they recently found a tiger just in someone's like yard. And it was also just held back with like a chain link fence that you put like around a baseball field.
Yeah, they treat
I
them
would have
like
been like, nah,
dogs.
yeah. He was just like chilling. And
I
so like that's what
actually,
happens.
I do like early on in the movie before Tony's super successful. Manny's like, yeah, this guy keeps taking me to the zoo to look at the tigers. He says he's gonna own one someday. And I was like, God, I wish they'd film that scene of like just
Him
Tony constantly
Fighting
at
a
the
tiger.
zoo.
Fighting a
It's just
tiger, that
like,
would have been a good scene.
Well, they do show him. Isn't the scene where he talks about where they talk about the money power? Isn't that doesn't that take place at the zoo?
no, that's just at like a
The water park?
resort. But then
Oh,
they talk about they're like, oh, we just got back from the zoo. But I like the
he's
idea
been
that
taking me to
you
zooms,
like
man.
you work at the Miami Zoo. You're like, oh, this guy comes in every day, super cooked up to like look at the
To look at the
tigers.
tigers.
And I think like I don't know. Why do you think Pablo? Why do you think this movie has stayed? I mean, it's from 1983. It's almost 30. It's older than 30 years old. Why do you think this movie is such a beloved classic still?
That's what I was telling you because I think it was written by a real person who had a real problem. It wasn't just a fictional story about something real. You know, it really tackled real problems and it went into deep issues, you know, and abuse and all that stuff. So it's so real that how can it not? You know, people relate to it. People want to relate to it and all this stuff. And also, it has a come up. Everybody wants to start from the bottom and make it
And
to the top. You know.
exactly, I think that is one of the other things too. You know, there's that famous 50 Cent song where he says he watches Scarface, but he turns it off before the ending because the
Exactly
bad
the
guy
end.
dies. And I think it's interesting because you know, again, like in Godfather, we see him already established. In Godfather 2, they changed it, but it's not as relatable. Where with this one, because it was contemporary, we saw Tony come from literally a fry cook all the way to like getting everything. And I think that kind of like it gives people not something to aspire to, but it's like, hell yeah, I could see this happening to me, you know, like
Yeah,
in an
because
odd way.
even in like The Godfather, like even though it's like oh he like eventually like kind of comes up, it's like one he's kind of like reserved, like they're super like kind of like oh we need to like keep all this like private and like kind of like respectable, but he's also like born into the family, whereas like literally like Tony's just like a nobody, and he's like oh
Yeah.
no, it's also like and he's not reserved at all. It's like the most excessive like the crazy white mansions and like the Cadillac with like the it's like all the coolest stuff of the 80s in one movie for 3 hours, you
Yeah.
know.
And I
Yeah,
think it's yeah, and I think also like I mean we didn't even get to cover like the bathtub scene, the scene where he looks at the blimp and it says the world
the
is
world is
yours.
yours, you know, that's from the 30s movie
Hmm.
apparently.
Also,
And
yeah, it
so
is
I
a
think it's just
don't
like
forget it's a remake of the Scarface 1930s Al Capone kind of
Yeah.
stuff.
don't forget from earlier in the podcast when I mentioned that, or don't forget from you
Hey, that's
forgot
why I
that I
said don't
mentioned.
forget.
Pablo is having technical issues then, so
I mean,
his
I
Pablo
need
has
a.
technical issues forever.
I've been
his
having technical
laptop
issues still.
was shutting down.
But I think like yeah, I think this movie's just so well done. It looks great, the music's great, the performances are all really good, and it tells a story like maybe it's more of a cautionary tale of anything, but it does tell like there's so many times where you kind of want to beat Tony Montana until the end, you know. And I think it's also like it's cool that even at the time, even though it's a bunch of Italians, it's still cool that this is mainly a movie about Latinos. Like almost everyone but Michelle Pfeiffer is Latino in this film, or at least is supposed to be. And so it's just kind of a cool. It's like, hey, this one's ours. You don't get this one Italian, even though you kind of do, since everyone,
The
all the
world is
actors
like,
are Italian.
and also this like I do think like this movie, the cover looks so good. The poster, the white on black, that it became like the poster in every single like college dorm, and according to my dad, in every drug house he's ever busted had a Scarface poster on the wall. So it's very iconic, you know, like
Yeah.
just like imagery.
And
So,
honestly, he's a pretty good, like, you see the kind of criticism of America in Godfather, but the criticism of capitalism in Scarface is a lot more. You can't just keep wanting money. Like, you do, you all you want is money and to collect as much wealth as you possibly can. You're gonna end up unhappy with no love, with your best friend dead on the floor, and you lying in a pool of blood with nothing to help. It's like The Great Gatsby if The Great Gatsby wasn't boring as hell.
Hey, but it was good
Um,
for the first 2 hours, man. That's why
yeah,
people watch
exactly.
it.
And that's what we're living in right now. This is the first two
Exactly,
hours of our
exactly.
Scarface
We're in the
tale.
2 hours of our lives. Eventually, it's
we're in the bodega, working in the
yeah.
bodega right now with
Yeah,
the cool billboard above us.
but yeah,
I'm about to catch Frank
but no.
with my sister. You know that kind of stuff.
Frank James.
I mean the
Um,
Manny. I'm
but
sorry.
yes, but
Manolo,
I
yeah.
think if you haven't seen this movie, which would be shocking, but you should go check it out. If you have seen it, go check it out anyway because it's Latino Heritage Month, and it's time for you to watch our films, or you can watch mine, I guess. Or you can watch our literal films.
Yeah.
And I think it's always fun to kind of play in that world because that world is so dark. Like when we did Borderland, we just had to imply what the cartel was doing. Like Pablo kind of plays like the Grim Reaper in that film, where he just kind of shows up and gets shit done. I think that's kind of fun to like mess around with. Where the mob was much more established and we know a lot more about them. We're like, even now, you don't know that much about cartels, and you don't really want to know because they're terrifying.
See, but the thing
Um,
with Scarface is that he didn't really give you an inside look at anything. He gave you the cool thing about Scarface was Scarface, the guy, you know, Tony Montana, and that's what made it
that's
so
true.
special. I think that he made this character that you had never seen, and you will never see another one like him. It's hard to be imitated, you know.
Right, exactly. And they've tried. And also, Pablo's my favorite thing about Latinos. But yes, so thank you guys. Thank you guys for joining us. Thank you, Pablo, for coming. We're gonna bring him a lot more. Now,
Yeah,
maybe next year we'll cover
I'm gonna
next year we're
get
gonna
the
cover
Ecuadorian guys to
American
under
Me.
flag.
Maybe next year Pablo will have not cricket internet and we'll be able to hear him the whole time. But yeah, check it out.
Possible.
Check us out next time. And thank you guys for listening on the Bomb Squad. We'll see you next week.